This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Are doing our own project. We're an interior design firm, but we're doing our own project. And we're looking to, we have two 18 by 80 inch doors, solid core that are going to be swinging out towards the hallway. And we'd like, we just got Sugatsun, it was like a single mortise hinge, but it only opens 125 degrees, and we need it to open 180 degrees. And the door style is going to look a little like it's going to be flush with the wall. So I'd like something that's very minimal and that opens 180 degrees. Do you have any ideas, maybe a pivot hinge or something like that?
Well, a butt hinge will go to 180. There's nothing about the hinge that would prevent it from going to 180. Mm-hmm. It'll go well beyond that, in fact.
Mm-hmm. Except that I really want the hinge to be very minimal, if
okay.
at all. Like I'd like it
well,
top, you know?
In the right circumstances, a sauce hinge will go to 180 as well. In fact, a little bit more.
Okay. Those are double mortise, aren't they?
What do you mean double mortise?
Meaning it has to be kind of mortise into each side, the door, the frame, and the door itself.
So the term double mortise actually is a specific industry term and is not applicable. A sauce hinge or a full mortise hinge, they're both leaves are generally in mortised flush to the edge of the door and the frame.
Uh-huh. So meaning that they get kind of like indented into the wood? Is that what it is? Or is there...
You chisel out the edge of the door and it goes in.
Got it. So in this application, we can't do it into the frame. We can only do either something that sits flat or one side into the door.
So minimal is out the window at this point.
So even with a pivot hinge? I mean, pivot, obviously you'll see it, but like it seems to me it's like an offset pivot might be like the next best option.
And you cannot mortise to the jamb, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's correct. Only the door.
Well, you could do an offset pivot, and an offset pivot will go to 180, but they generally require mortising to the header. And if you didn't mortise it to the header, you would either have to noticeably increase the margin from the top of the door to the underside of the header, or you would actually use the term double mortise into the top of the door for that hardware, but it would not be ideal because you'd be cutting away a part of the door that would look strange to someone looking at the door.
Got it.
But it could be done.
I thought, so 1 second, my husband is here with me. He's helping. Didn't he say that the contractor said that he could mortise into the header? I thought he
can, but the challenge with the header is that he has a particle board, but I think it's 5/8 on both sides of the header, and then you would need to be able to offset it quite a bit in order to you have to make sure that you have about close to 2 inches between the center of the offset of the pivot hinge and and where you put the screws in. So it's a pretty big offset. I don't know that they have that on the market. Most of them, I think, are much smaller.
Is it because of the inset of the door into the face of the frame?
Yeah, so basically the contractor thought initially that we're going to do a barn-style door for that room, This is a room that we've set aside for my parents. So my parents are going to be moving. My dad is bedridden, so we want to make sure that that we give them the privacy they need. So the contractor misunderstood what we were looking for. He was going to do a barn-style door, so he set up the door frame kind of entry kind of to be kind of smooth without really putting too much really meat in there to hold up any real solid door. And we intended to put, because we did tell him we wanted a solid core door, so he was going to do like a heavier track for the barn style door. But we explained to them, no, we the main issue with sound travel, because my parents are elderly and we want to make sure we have kids at home that they can, it shouldn't disrupt their, if my dad is sleeping or anything like that. He said, I said the main issue is really sound travel is when you have gaps between the door and the wall, and especially also just in general terms of privacy. I'm sure they would prefer not to have that. So something that would be sitting in the doorway would be better, but something that they can easily open, so then when we pull my dad out of bed with like a Hoyer lift into a wheelchair, we'd be able to easily wheel him in and out of the room. So I do want something that can open up, all the way and not block the hallway and make it kind of awkward to get around. So it kind of presented now as really challenging scenario where I'm trying to install a door to a doorway that wasn't really designed for a door to be installed into, and it's a heavy door. So I'm trying. So he did tell me he did leave 2x4s towards the center of the doorway, but that won't let me have the full swing that I'm looking for. So now I'm kind of trying to see, okay, an offset pivot might work, but it would need to be a pretty big pivot. I'm thinking maybe even like something like along the lines of like strap hinges maybe would work, but that may look a little awkward in an indoor setting. There's an overlay door like angle hinge that would maybe have the hinge more in the inside so you don't see it when you walk in the hallway. That might be okay. So maybe something like that. I'm just trying to kind of try to find a creative solution where I can hang these heavy doors. They're not that heavy. They're like 40 to 50 pounds. I think like just under 50 pounds perhaps per door. So like 18 by 80. They're like double doors. So they're not crazy heavy. So I don't need something like really heavy duty, like a restaurant kind of hinge, commercial kind of base, use. But I'm looking for something that wouldn't be too noticeable. That wouldn't be too heavy because it is supposed to be like a modern entry to the room. So it's supposed to be kind of on the clean side. But at the same time would give it the support and the ability to have that full opening into the hallway, so it's not blocking. So it's a lot of requirements for something very, very, very specific case use. So it's use case other. So it's I know it's not easy.
Why are you in a position where you need a deeper offset on the hinge? Is it because of an inset?
So the wall, the way it was, the portion of the house that we're building this into was, the old part of the house was that they had an extension built on the house, but the old part had these really heavy cement boards, and the contractor had to kind of break a bunch of that down and recreate some of it in order to do a proper doorway. And the way he did it is he did like particle, like a chipboard and a particle board on both sides.
I think what he's saying is in terms of the door can be flush with the wall.
Right, we want the doors to be flush with the wall. That's, and we want
Stop there. Stop there.
Yeah.
So doors flush with the wall. Okay, beautiful. Why would you not use a standard 3/4 offset pivot in that application? Because you're going to mount to the floor and you're going to mount to the underside of the header along with the door. You're not touching the jamb at all. You don't care where the 2x4 is.
Mm-hmm. Right. So he was telling me that on top I can do it so long as the offset goes is deep enough, because he said he has about.
Why does it have to be deep enough?
So he has on the top. He said he has particle board 5/8 of an inch on both ends of the 2x4.
So you can't mortise to the header.
Not to that part. But yeah.
Okay. Well, there are 1.5-inch offset pivots that you could use the top pivot of 1.5 inch offset and the bottom of a 3/4 offset. And if that additional 3/4 will get your mounting points further into the header, you're in good shape. The issue that you're going to have with that is you're going to have to severely modify the door leaf, like put it on a table saw, on a bandsaw and re-drill holes, because you're going to blow through all of that. It's
right.
The issue is the construction of the wall is not sufficient for the task. Can he simply modify the header to give you something solid to attach to?
I don't think so. It doesn't sound. I think it's because he already finished it, so it's he's made it like already sanded it and everything. So
well, the answer is yes, but it is prohibitive.
He doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Do you think like an overlay like door angle hinge, I think like the angle hinges, if I had something sitting on the outer by the hallway, the outer part, if I could maybe put some, do you know if they have any that come with like a cover? Like sometimes the glass door or cabinets have like these covers that block this cover over the screws, so it looks a little cleaner, a little nicer. Do you think there's something like that where I can have the bracket, basically the hinge, go on the inside of the doors towards my parents' room, not seen from the hallway, and then the part that goes sitting on the wall on the outside, where I know there's solid 2x4s around the door. To them, I can, if I could put the hinge and then have something to cover it over, like a plate, that would look a lot nicer.
None of that resonated with me at all in terms of understanding what you are driving at. But
yeah.
Hold on. Now, what you could do is, in the old days when they installed pivots in applications like this, they used what was called a hanging strip. So imagine in your mind's eye a piece of wood that would be attached to the jambs on both sides. And it is thick enough so that you can then attach to the face of this jamb the Stanley 327 wardrobe pivot. And that would do the job, but you would be having to add a hanging strip on the jambs. It's not going to reduce the clear opening size because actually that's not true. It would when the door is at 180 degree, it would reduce the clear opening size. But at 90, it wouldn't. But if you got a pair of, 18-inch doors, if he's in a wheelchair, you're getting tight in terms of the clear opening space.
Right.
So you might want to look in my site at the Stanley 327, and when you look at the installation instructions for that or the product catalog, you'll definitely see what I'm driving at.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. So it might be best to look in the product catalog on the fourth page.
So it's on the Google. Give me your website address again.
supply.net.
Oh. Okay, supply.net. Okay, so Stanley 327. Okay. Yep, I got it. Here we go. And then, now where do I go to find the information?
So any of the Stanley 327s that come up, click on any of them and then scroll down and look for product catalog.
Got it.
Right side. Then go to page 4 of that document.
Oh, perfect.
So if you just imagine a piece of wood behind the vertical half of the top and bottom pivots that you're going to attach to, you could then set all of that flush so the door is flush with the wall. And it will take your door to 180.
Yeah, because it is offset. That would work. That would work. I think that might work. Okay, so let me.
They're inexpensive. They're easy to handle for your weight. They're readily available. And, if the contractor comes, let's say that you've got 1 inch where you got nothing good there, we'll have him make his jam strip 3 inch so that he can secure to 2x4 that's behind the sheetrock or whatever is there.
Yeah.
I think this dog will hunt.
Yeah, I think that should work. All right, so let me share that with him.
What kind of finish does it come in?
It comes in lots of finishes, but what is the finish of choice?
Polished or bright brass. Or satin brass is fine too.
In the realm of I don't have any brass type finishes in stock. I do have prime coat if you want to paint them to match. But then I've got your chrome and I've got your oil rubbed bronze.
The brass paint might work actually really well since we're wanting to kind of hide this. So that might work fine. But the brass, is that something that can be ordered?
It can be. The lead time would be exceptional. It would be several weeks.
Uh-huh. And how much are these?
Roughly about $100 a pair, so you'd need about $200 to hang it.
Okay. Do you have a picture or anything of it installed?
I do not. But a general internet search, you may be able to find something like that.
Okay. And on page 5, I am seeing a diagram where it looks like typical.
That's a different part of it.
It's a different part?
Yeah, that's because that's the hinge that goes on the side of the door.
This is a different kind of hinge altogether, page 5?
It may be, but I understood we were dealing with 1 3/4 doors.
Yeah.
So I navigate.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, the call dropped for whatever reason, and after this segment of the video is where I call the client back, and we continue the discussion, and actually we kind of summarize the rest of the conversation. But where we left off was with the Stanley 327, and what I was driving at with the client was the jam strip or hanging strip concept, and it's not as clear as I would like it to be in the documentation, but I'm going to show you. So all I did was click on the first one that came up, product catalog, go to page 4, I think. Yeah, here's the 327. So this is a cross section showing what it looks like. Okay, kind of doesn't help, because we want to do is see the right side view of this cross. This is the right side view, but what we want to see is, I would say it's really a left side view, but what we want to see is a plan view. So here's the concept of the plan view, and what ends up happening when I call the client back, it turns out they can mortise to the jam. I'm not confident they can mortise where they need to. Here is the jam, and then obviously over here you got the other jam, and you got a pair of doors in here. So you're going to have one door here that's supposed to be flush. You're going to have another door here. Okay, great. The Stanley 327 needs to mount back here. So what you do, my concept of the jam strip is just this. Here is where it was originally thought the client would be able to mortise to. So you're going to add this hanging strip or jam strip here and here. You mortise to the face of the hanging strip and then to the back side of the door. That's the concept. And there it is. Okay, let's go back to the telephone conversation.
Yours?
Hi, it's Rich calling you back about the pivot.
Hey, how you doing, Richie? I appreciate you. Yep. Yeah, how are you? So, yeah, sorry, we got disconnected in the middle of the conversation.
Yeah, the last thing was talking about the
Stanley wardrobe offset pivot hinge.
Yeah, and it was 1 3/4, and then my headset went to lunch. So where do we pick up from the 327 conversation?
Right. So I need to run it by the contractor to see, because you're saying we would need to add, if I understand correctly, we would need to add a strip of wood that would connect to to both sides of the jamb, I guess, and the top, and to kind of attach the top pivot to that. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then that would basically allow it to have the strength to hold up the door, and then the second pivot on the bottom will support that as well. Yeah, so I would need to run that by the contractor and see if we can do something like that. I think my wife had another question for you. Did you have another question before?
What about the angle?
About the angle, yeah. You wanted to ask him.
Do you have any of the paintable of what are they called, Shmuley? The angle?
Oh, the one that we're looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 second. Not this one. Yeah, these ones. They are called swing clear offset hinges, paintable.
Swing clear offsets. Well,
I know you will see those on the outside on the wall, and we're wondering if there's a way we can try to conceal those, but maybe as another option.
How are you? You don't have anything suitable to attach to.
Right. So the contractor told me that on the jam side, on the both sides, he does have the 2x4s at the ends. It's just on the top that he has the particle board, the chipboard, kind of like, and the 2x4s in the center.
Well, just use the soft hinges then. They're completely concealed.
The soft hinges? The soft hinges, right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you've got wood that you can mortise to in both of the jams, this problem is solved.
We can't. He was saying that it's complicated to mortise into the.
That's code for I don't want to do it. I can teach them how to do it. I know my way around that hinge. Now, if the guy doesn't want to do it, okay, fine. Find yourself a different hanging device then.
right.
Swing clears, swing clears would do the job, but you don't need a swing. Well, swing clear would be nice for the obvious reason, but it's going to be pretty conspicuous.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking also. I was wondering if there's any way to make him a little more inconspicuous. That my feeling was also, as I'm looking at the picture, because I do see also they do use those specifically for ADA compliant kind of doors. But like you said, it's just going to be very conspicuous.
Very, very conspicuous.
So sauce would be the ideal if I can somehow convince him to mortise the door jambs. Those would be definitely the ideals, because those would be completely hidden, and that would look very clean and sharp. Yeah, that would definitely be the ideal. What would you suggest? Yeah, what would you suggest would be the secondary backup? Do you think that those swing clear would be a secondary option for that?
It wouldn't be my secondary option unless the application called out. If you've got to say to yourself, how much clear space do I need? What's Dad going to need to comfortably get through there and not hurt himself, etc.? If you're looking to squeeze every inch out of it, swing clear is ugly, but you're going to throw the door completely out of the opening, and you're going to, which means you're going to maximize your clear opening when the door is open. In fact, you wouldn't have to go to 180 to get that, because at 90 degree, you're pretty close to clear as it is. The problem with the swing clear is I really think you're going to throw the door off of the face of imagine in your mind's eye the two doors open and parallel to the wall at 180. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to put your hand and your arm between the wall and the door because of how far that swing clear throws it off. So you're going to encroach into the space that is parallel to the face of the wall of the bedroom when the doors are open.
Got it. That's going to go too far into the hallway. That would be too much. Yeah.
It's less than ideal, but again, the downside of the sauce is the extreme temporary learning curve. then for me, just good old-fashioned butt hinges will also do the job. And you could go with something, you could go with like 4.5 tall and then 4 wide to suck the knuckle as tight to the face of the wall as possible. That'll do it. You don't need swing clear to do that. The Stanley 327s are
tall?
nice. Say again?
Let me write that down. 4.5 tall by how wide?
As narrow as possible, and that would be 4-inch wide. Which you can go 4.5. You're just going to mortise it deeper into the jamb and into the edge of the door. I like the Stanley 327s, but they will reduce the opening space. Swing clears, they'll do the job, but it's, it'll be quite obvious to see those.
Yeah.
Then also, I would also suggest that you consider something that's good for the long term. Someday that opening, that room may be repurposed for something else. So committing to grab bars in a shower enclosure when in 10 years you'll have no need for that. You know what I mean? You got all these holes.
Yeah.
The sauce are good because they're always going to do the job.
Yeah, they're always going to be nice. I kind of like those from the get-go. What would you suggest if I wanted to kind of gently encourage my contractor to go for the sauce? How would you suggest? Like, is there like a tutorial or video I can show him that might help him kind of have a good understanding of how to go about doing that?
I think on my website there's going to be a sauce-produced video of someone doing it. But it could also just be him or her watching the several and many sauce videos that I've done where I'm telling you how you do it. And then, of course, you're buying the hinges, so he's calling me to say, okay, great, how do I actually put these in? It's actually quite simple.
Got it. Right. So he'll be able to call you, and you will be able to give him some hands-on advice and being able to get it in correctly.
I can tell him exactly how to do it. You could also do olive knuckle hinges, which are extremely traditional, very 19th century. They're going to be more expensive. So if you searched olive knuckle, that would work. Or parliament, a parliament hinge would also work. But they're just variations on the full mortise theme is what they are. They're more decorative and less obtuse when it comes to the interior design aspect. But they're also going to be more expensive.
Got it. All right, so I have those written down. Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of those really nice concealed hinges can run quite a bit. They're like $500 plus.
Oh no, that's people like to use the Tectus, the Sugatsunis, the 3-way adjustable. That's baloney. Yeah. If you're a carpenter, that means you can read a tape measure.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If you don't need the XYZ adjustability, then you use the good old-fashioned sauce hinge. You don't need any of the bells and whistles.
Got it.
It's remarkable to me how people feel like they need to spend 3 or 4 times the cost for a hinge. Remarkable.
Oh my goodness! I was looking at those hinges. I was like, oh my goodness! I didn't know that people spend that much money on hinges. It's like,
I am staring at a box that has a pivot in it. That pivot is $10,000. I have a $10,000 pivot within 6 feet of my desk. It'll hang a 3,000-pound door.
You could build a fortress with it.
And once a year, someone calls and they know you don't have it. And when you tell them you have it, their jaw drops. So yeah, you could spend a couple of nickels on hanging devices.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, definitely could build myself a full vault room in there once my parents move. After 120.
It'll be your man cave.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, seriously. Need like one of those old school those big turning wheels to open up the lock.
Yeah, like on a ship.
Oh gosh, wow. Yeah, exactly. All right, so I really appreciate your help and the guidance. I'm going to try to see if I can ease them into the sauce hinges. I do think that would be the best. I like those a lot. I think that would really do the job. And then if not, then maybe we'll try to see if we can consider, with my wife's permission, one of the other 3, the butt hinges, olive knuckle hinges, and the parliament ones. So we'll take a look at those and see if any of those would do.
And at the same time, you need to think about the rest of the hardware set. How are you going to push and pull the
Yeah.
doors open? What will keep them in the latched position? I don't like roller latches because they're actually quite loud. I have devices
Really?
that are very, well, you don't really notice it in a commercial application, but you do when mom or dad pulls the door open at 11, p.m. because they're going to the
Right.
bathroom. You hear that clanking.
I
There
gotcha.
are magnets that will
I
do it
gotcha.
less with almost a zero noise, and you've got
I
it.
saw
Maybe
a
you
really,
want
yeah, I saw a really interesting one, but it was also kind of expensive, where you close one door and it pushes, and then when you close the second door, it locks the first door into place, so it holds the doors better for locking.
it's either a
What's it called,
transom bolt or auto flush bolt.
Yeah, that's the one, transom bolt. Yep.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. I stock them generally. Very 19th century technology, but does the job exquisitely well.
Yeah,
and then
to me that seemed like a good solution.
If you search my website for precision lock, you're going to see basically a magnet concept. You put pole A into the header, pole B into the top of the door, and when you push the doors closed, the magnet holds it closed. Concealed,
Oh, that's awesome.
effective, in stock. Then the final thing is you'll probably want to think about some self-adhesive gasketing around the perimeter just to help retard the transmission of the acoustical energy. Keep it down a little bit.
Yeah, you have that as well?
I have all of the stuff we've talked about. But all I'm saying is when you're thinking about the job, start to think in terms of the entire hardware set for the opening, not just hinges, because you're going to need more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely going to need more than that. And for the handles, I know we have to figure out which ones would be good. And since it's a main entry hallway, so I need to make sure that it's not going to be anything that's going to snag anyone once they're walking past it.
I have concealed edge poles that I can. If you look up Rockwood 885, you'll see the concept.
Okay, that'll probably be good. Rockwood 885. Okay, I really appreciate all your help. That's really awesome. I will definitely call you back once I have more questions. But definitely this is a great start. So I'm going to try to see if I can massage in the soft hinges. I know he has experience with them from when he used to be a cabinet builder when he started his career. So I know that he can do these things. It's just a matter of encouraging him to do it for this application. We'll see.
I get it. It's gotta work on all levels for all parties. If your guy's like, listen, I can't do it, I'm not going to do it, then you might need to be flexible on it. I get that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you bet. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, now in conclusion, we talked about the sauce. So what the Stanley 327, we talked about that previously. Let's not address that anymore. What I'm concerned with is the sauce, which I encouraged the client would be not a problem to learn how to do. What was not discussed, although it was in my head at the time, is the requirement that and this is literally showing, let's say that this is the wall and this is the door, that the client has in the wall enough an adequate construction in this dimension here to mortise the hinge to. That dimension is what's called the E dimension. That dimension cannot be greater than 1/4 inch. If it's greater than 1/4 inch, then you're going to have a conflict of how it swings. The further that you pull the hinge back is this is where the problem comes in. If you've got 1/4 inch or less, no problem to go to 180, but you've got to have solid material to mortise to. The client also asked about swing clear hinges. Will do the job, just dreadful in terms of the aesthetics. Minus continuous. The client also asked about, I had also mentioned Olive knuckle, O-L-I-V-E, knuckle. Here's a swing clear hinge. Cut sheet, let's see if that helps us. Yeah, in your mind's eye, this is what it looks like when it's closed. Jam, door. Now imagine swinging this all the way out. You're really going to throw that door out quite a bit away from the face of the opening. So yeah, it'll do the job. It creates one problem, but really gives you a phenomenal clearance opening. I had mentioned olive knuckle hinges because it might be more aesthetically pleasing. All you're really going to see on this hinge is just the big, gorgeous olive knuckle when it's closed. They are handed. And then I had also mentioned Parliament hinge. It was called keyboarding when I was in high school, and I said, why do I need to develop that skill? Parla, and spelling apparently is the issue as well. Parliament hinges, again, just a variation on a theme. You're just going to see this smaller petite knuckle. The doors are really light. I wouldn't be too concerned about anything. And then the hinge that the client mentioned about them being concealed, Tectus hinges, a very good product, but again, really expensive compared to Sauce, 3-4 times the cost, just to give you some three-way adjustability. You'll be able to, X, Y, and Z, you're able to tweak that a slight amount. So I hope all of this does help the client in their search. Peace and love. If you have any oh, there's one more thing, the precision lock. The magnets I was talking about. Oh, yeah, I forgot the rest of the hardware. Precision lock. Let's take a look at 885, 626. Let's take a look at the S44BL. Okay, precision lock. This is just a magnet that's installed in the top of the door and the top of the underside of the header. When you push the door closed, it's just going to keep it really nice and tight closed and silent. Typical roller latches, turns out they are loud. I actually had a relationship ending situation with a client who asked for roller latches, paid for roller latches, installed the roller latches, and then called me up aghast as to why they were so loud. He says, by the magical invention of these earplugs, perimeter gasketing, something self-adhesive like this. There's many, many variations on these themes. Concealed edge pull, the Rockwood 885, a great option. Let's show you a template. May not be appropriate for the application for the user. That might be too hard to pull open. But nonetheless, those are my ideas. Peace and love. Any questions, please let me know. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.